Our next speakers are going to cover a really interesting topic in collecting. So many of you might be aware of some of these Star Wars television shows, classic television shows, like and programs like the Holiday Special, the Droids and Ewoks cartoons, and so on, and the Ewok movies. And they're not as mainstream or popular with many Star Wars fans, but for collectors, they're huge. We're lucky to have really some of the world's authorities on this. So I want to introduce our speakers: Scott Kirkwood, Amy Schoberg, Jared Clark, and Sean Moynihan. So please welcome them and give them a round of applause.
Welcome. We're really excited to have the opportunity to revisit some of our old favorite and now legendary TV shows and collectibles from the past and the present. Star Wars Legends is the new term for what some of you might have previously called the expanded universe. This includes any content created outside from the original trilogy and prequel trilogy prior to 2014. In making the firm distinction between legends and canon, continuity could be cleared to pave the way for new projects. But as we will see, sometimes this content is pulled back up to use in new ways. And I'm going to let Scott take it from the very beginning with the holiday special.
All right. All the way back to 1978. So apparently, they heard that we were going to talk about the Star Wars Holiday Special, and they tripped the alarm. They tried to clear the building, but we stayed, so here you are. But yes, the Star Wars Holiday Special is infamous, of course, for its content. But at the same time, it's also got some very cool things and some very cool collectibles. And we'll take a look at some of those collectibles here. Early collectibles that came out around 1978, 79, there wasn't much in the way of direct collectibles made specifically for the holiday special, because when it aired, it just aired once, and they had some plans for some toys to go with it, and they scrapped the plans after it, the holiday special didn't really come out to everybody's liking. So, but there are some things associated with it. Probably the most common thing that people pick up is this Starlog magazine that has the Star Wars TV special on the cover here, and there's photos and an article from the holiday special. So that's probably one of the easiest things to find in terms of collectibles related to the holiday special. There's a TV guide, which below this you can see the sort of the poster style artwork for the Star Wars Holiday Special that's contained in that TV guide. So you can't really tell from the TV guide that it's a holiday special collectible, but inside there's a little mention of it, and there's this little poster art. Of course, there's the single by Jefferson Starship, which definitely counts as a bona fide collectible. In the top left-hand corner there, the promotional version of the Light the Sky on Fire single actually says on the cover, it mentions the holiday special by name. It's as heard in the Star Wars Holiday Special. So that's kind of the biggest bona fide collectible from that time. You can see there's a book here that came out in 79, and it kind of follows the same story as the holiday special, just told a little bit differently, and that definitely is a very holiday special related collectible, and Chewbacca's family is in it. Then we get into action figures. Of course, there's the well-known Free Boba Fett that was a mail away, originally intended to be rocket firing, and of course wasn't, but it says right on the insert for that, it talks about the holiday special. It doesn't call it the holiday special, though. It calls it, I think it's the Wookiee holiday. But definitely that ties in as well, because at that time Boba Fett hadn't been seen in anything but the holiday special. And then you have kind of a secret holiday special collectible, the red snaggletooth figure that you see here. That picture on that card is actually from the holiday special. And so it's not really noted as such, but that would really be the first holiday special action figure, because that is the outfit that was worn in the holiday special, and that figure definitely represents that, and there's a picture right there. So that's kind of it for the early collectibles. Then we kind of move on to stuff that came a little bit later. We've got there's kind of a big gap there between 79 and about 1993, 94, when they actually started making some more things that were kind of related to the holiday special. They tend to fall into one of two categories. There's the red snaggletooth collectibles, and as you can see here, there's a fair number of those that have been released in different forms, figures, statues, and so forth. So it's usually either red snaggletooth or it's the cartoon Boba Fett, the animated Boba Fett from the 11-minute cartoon that falls right near the middle of the holiday special. And this is what most people would agree is probably the best part of the holiday special. And that's also, with the popularity of Boba Fett, that explains the large amount of Boba Fett-related collectibles from the animated portion of the show. I should mention, too, that Rancho Obi-Wan has a whole section devoted to the holiday special Boba Fett. So if you get a chance, go check that out and see what they've got. Here we have some more of the collectibles that were not Boba Fett or Snaggletooth. These are a little less common in terms of they relate to other characters or other things from the holiday special. Usually it's pictures of creatures from the cantina, but the picture is actually from the holiday special, maybe used by accident. And then there's some things that came out more recently. The little golden book there, I Am a Wookiee, definitely very kind of tied into the holiday special with with Kashyyyk and so forth. There's a couple of posters that were available at Celebration previously that are directly holiday special or holiday special inspired. There was a book called The Star Wars Vault, which contained, amongst all the plethora of items that were in that book, there was a CD containing a recording of Princess Leia singing the Life Day song from the holiday special, which is, that's kind of a rarity there. And then there's a facsimile of a couple of pages of the script from the Star Wars holiday special. Over here on the left side bottom, there's a Celebration 4 luggage tag that happens to be a photo from the Star Wars holiday special. It's not totally obvious, but because it's all cantina creatures, but it's definitely from the holiday special. So a lot of the collectibles from the holiday special are kind of they kind of get snuck in there, maybe accidentally or maybe not accidentally, but they're kind of stealth collectibles. A couple of collectibles that came out in the 90s, like early to mid 90s. They were available through the fan club, the Star Wars store, were these Sirius cells, which are basically replicas of animation cells from the holiday special. There were a couple that you can see here that were available, and then the one up in the upper left corner there actually was not available through the store. That one's kind of an oddball. I haven't been able to place where that came from, so that's kind of a mystery item there. But the other two, you can see the Lucasfilm logo on them. They were definitely available from the store. Trading cards are another thing that there's been a fair number of items available that are holiday special related. The first ones are the Star Wars Galaxy trading cards. There were 3 from that series that featured art and so forth from the holiday special. There's other cards that just featured photos from cantina creatures, and then there's a few that actually feature characters from the holiday special, and those are kind of neat because you rarely get pictures of some of those characters like Akmina and the live action Leia and 3PO and so forth. Those don't turn up too often on holiday special collectibles. This is a set here that was available through the Star Wars store. It's actually StarWarsShop.com, and they're a tough set to collect because you only get one of them per order. They were a freebie that was thrown in with your order, and you never knew what you were going to get. So it would, be very hard to collect a full set of these. So that's a tough one. But very cool cards. They're all from the animated cartoon, and they all feature really great artwork. So this is some more recent things that have come out. So previously, holiday special related merchandise would just kind of trickle out, something here, something there, kind of onesie twosie. But in the last couple of years, there's been a kind of a flood of Star Wars holiday special merchandise. This selection here is all stuff that's come out recently, including even a Star Wars Celebration lunch pail that you can see down there on the bottom right that was available at the previous celebration, as well as an animated Boba Fett backpack above that. So again, more Boba Fett stuff, more Red Snaggletooth stuff. But in the last year, there's been an increase in items related to Life Day. So Life Day is kind of becoming a common thing to release merchandise around, and that's also kind of a big Disney thing. But in terms of merchandise being released at the parks, but here we've got there's a Life Day comic book that had 3 variant covers. There's a Life Day cookbook. There is a book of Life Day stories, the Life Day Treasury. So a number of things coming out around Life Day. And then moving forward here, we've got T-shirts. There's been kind of an explosion of T-shirts lately. These are all recent T-shirts that have come out in the last couple of years. And they're all specifically related to either Boba Fett, or in one case here, we've actually got Chewbacca's family on a shirt there. I definitely was very keen to track that one down. That doesn't happen very often. You don't get to see their faces very much. And then we come to last year, around November, Disney released a whole flood of Life Day merchandise for the Disney parks. A few of the items were actually available online, but most of the items you had to go to the park to get them. So there were Life Day T-shirts featuring Chewbacca. There were 3 things featuring the Life Day orb. One was a light-up orb. There was a light-up kind of crystal ornament orb, and then a orb shaped like a mug. Additionally, there were patches and pens with the Life Day insignia on it, and then Starbucks had a couple items. There was a mug featuring Chewbacca in the Life Day robe with the Life Day orb, and a tumbler, and then finally a plush Chewbacca carrying a Life Day orb. So Disney's really been going strong on the Life Day theme at the Disney parks. It's kind of cool to see. And it makes me wonder what's going to come out next year, like what we might see the next time around. But from what I can see, it looks like holiday special merchandise is kind of on the climb, and I would expect to see more of that come out in the future, so keep an eye out.
Well, I'm thrilled to talk about the Ewok holiday special. That was one of the earliest draft pitches for what became 2 movies on the Forest Moon of Endor. The Caravan of Courage and Ewok Adventure and Ewoks Battle on Endor were filmed on Skywalker Ranch in neighboring Roy's Redwoods after the Return of the Jedi. They told the story of the Tulani family who crashed their Star Cruiser on the Forest Moon of Endor. And while the first film was about reuniting Mace and Sindel with their parents, the second film left Sindel sadly an orphan. In the States, these films were shown as ABC Sunday night TV movies and over Thanksgiving weekends, but in many other countries, they had theatrical releases. Here we see some of the T-shirts that existed for cast and crew. Battle for Endor Ewoks 2, just when you thought it was safe to go back into the forest, was one of the alternate filming titles. And we have a crew shirt, alternate crew shirt, a hat, and a screener card invitation for Lucasfilm employees. The printer proof was for TV Guide to physically cut and paste the relevant local channel listing for the special. And here we have some press folders that were sent out by Lucasfilm to different locations. And you'll see that there are several photos with 1 to 2 pages of description attached to each one, and these are a sampling of some of the international releases that were available as well. And as an ardent Star Wars fan pre-internet, the earliest way you would have heard about these would probably have been from TV newspapers or news. And here's a selection of TV guide publications from across the country. Notice that many of the images are the same, thanks in large part to that press folder that we saw in the last slide. And despite the Ewok movies only airing on TV in the US, a few ticket stubs do exist. The 2 on the left were screener passes made available to Lucasfilm employees, and the ones on the right were tickets from Japan. Lobby cards were also made and tend to feature some lesser seen images. Here we see some from the US. And we also have some from Europe as well. Note that Die Ewoks is just the title in Germany. It's not a statement. Programs also existed for theaters to hand out, and that would include a plot description on the back and some imagery on the front. These are from Germany and Japan. And poster art for the Ewok movies was done by famed movie poster artist Drew Struzan. He had also done the Star Wars Circus poster as well as some of the special editions and prequel posters. And here we have the US poster for Ewok Adventure, a half-sheet release from Australia, and a German poster. These posters are for Battle of Endor. The Marauders posters from Australia, and the other 2 on the top are from Italy. The one on the far right is from Japan, and to my knowledge, it's probably the only one that anyone's seen, so that's a surprise. The bottom poster was released much later in 1991. More various Ewok items here, including a promotional button from the UK, page protectors from Japan, and a pamphlet from Germany. Here's some promotional stickers for the films from Holland, Japan, and the UK. And moving away from theater-related collectibles, book adaptations existed for the Ewok movies as well. The US had The Witch, the Ring, and the Crystal, and the Ewoks and the Lost Children. For those completists out there, there are paperback and hardback editions in other markets, including Japan, Germany, and Spain, just to name a few. Audiobooks were also plentiful in the US releases for the Ewok Adventure and Battle for Endor, and there's also a compilation version available with older Star Wars releases. Foreign versions also existed. Shown here are France and Sweden. To our knowledge, though, there's only ever been one food-related tie-in for these films in the entire world. That would have been in Australia in 1984, the Break Fruit Drink Company. They went all out. They had a promotional poster that you could fill in with stickers that came on the back of fruit drink boxes. With 28 stickers needed to collect and a short time to do it in, it is extremely rare to find finished posters. I've only ever seen one. Soundtracks exist for the films. They were composed by Peter Bernstein, and he also composed themes to 21 Jump Street and Stargate SG-1, just in case you were interested. The LP was released as a double album in 1986, and it was never released, to our knowledge, in other formats. In France, the closing music to the movies was performed by famed TV star Dorothy. And this was released as a 45, and there was a music video for this as well. I'm not going to make you watch the music video, it's really bad. The best way to describe the video is an extremely dramatic 80s zookeeper standing in front of the trailer for the Ewok movie. If the Ewoks did have a holiday special, I would think this would be the hologram video musical segment. But you'll just have to check it out later. It's on YouTube. As we drift away from the 80s, there's a few sparse offerings for the Ewok movies that pop up. VHS tapes were released for both movies, and perhaps you spotted Teak and Wicket pushing the Ewok Adventure on you from this video store display. VHS and Laserdisc also came out domestically and internationally. And in 2004, the films finally made it on DVD as a double-sided release. The video store display must have worked because I ended up purchasing the DVD copy from my local video store, ironically when they went out of business. None of the items so far have really included toys, if you'll notice. But that all changed thanks in large part to Star Tours. For anyone that was at the last panel, you might have seen some of these items. Star Tours opened in Anaheim in 1987, just next door, and the boarding safety video featured Teak and Koenig from the Ewok movies. Perhaps we still had to wait until 2010 for any merchandise tie-ins. Spurred by nostalgia ahead of the original ride's closure, you could purchase the Star Tours boarding party figure set, as well as 2 different pins of each character. The pins with the ride chairs include a small piece of vinyl seats from the ride, and the plush Koenig came out in 2016. After the acquisition of Lucasfilm, Disney deemed the Ewok movies legends, as we now know. Thankfully, the Ewok movies are gaining new viewers as Disney Plus added them to the channel last year in time for May the 4th. Since then, we've seen the Goroks and Wisties in the Forces of Destiny cartoon, as well as the Battlefront 2 game. Thanks to The Mandalorian, we now have Blurg products. The Blurg first appeared in the Battle for Endor and had appearances in Clone Wars and in video games. And you can find the Blurg Funko Pop, action figure, and plush in toy stores now. If you're interested in learning more about the Ewok movies from 2 actors that were in the movie, we would encourage you to attend the Ewok Adventure Celebration panel on the fan stage Saturday at noon. I know Jared and I intend to go to that one.
All right. So in the fall of 1985, is that not working? All right, is that louder? How about that? Okay. So in the fall of 1985, the Ewoks and Droids cartoons debuted in America. They were broadcast Saturday mornings on ABC as part of the Ewoks and Droids Adventure Hour. They ran for 2 seasons of Ewoks, and the Droids only ran for 1. The cartoons spawned a substantial amount of merchandise. Quite a bit of it was released in the United States, but the show was actually more popular in Europe. And so other countries saw the release of some very unique items, and we're going to take a look at those. Some of the most popular items among collectors are the action figures. In the US, Kenner released a line of 6 figures based on the Ewoks cartoon and 12 for droids. Some, but not all the figures were also available in Canada and Brazil. Brazil did see the exclusive release of the ultra-rare Vlix figure. He can be seen here in the top right corner. He was slated for release in the United States as part of the second wave of action figures, but was ultimately canceled before it was released, making Vlix one of the most sought-after and valuable figures in the entire vintage Star Wars line. There was also a small selection of vehicles and role-play toys released from Kenner. The Ewok Battle Wagon, which was featured in an episode of the cartoon, was actually released in the Power of the Force line. It was close to being released in Ewoks packaging, but again, the line was canceled due to lack of interest. Droids did see the release of the A-Wing vehicle, Side Gunner, and ATL Interceptor. And like the figures, some of the vehicles saw releases in Brazil. And 2 lightsabers were also available in very limited quantities in the United States, one in green and one in red, shown on the bottom. Europe saw the release of some very unique toys. Shown on the top corners, you can see Spanish company Curon produced Wicket and Nisa plush toys, which are much larger and quite different than the ones they released for the Return of the Jedi line. In the center shows some Squeak toys released in Germany by a company named Kiel, and those were released in 1988. And while we believe they were intended for children, they're quite similar to dog toys, actually. The television set and camera that you see on the bottom are actually little viewfinders, almost like Viewmasters, and those can be found in several different colors as well. A company called Comics Spain released a line of unarticulated PVC figures. One reason why collectors really like these is because the set contains characters that weren't included in the Kenner animated line, like Princess Nisa, Latara, Paplu, and Tebow. Another interesting thing to note is that in 1990, the Wicket, 3PO, and R2 figures were actually repainted and re-released to be sold in Star Tours gift shops. Here are some board games released in Spain. Didacta released 3 different board games. One of the most interesting is the one that has a cover with a mix of characters from both Ewoks and droids. The card game shown on the right was also released in Spain by Fournier. And these are interesting because a lot of the cards feature some of the artwork that would have appeared on the unproduced Ewoks and Droids card backs from Kenner, so people like to collect these. These are some Target Velcro games, released also in Spain. There's 5 different variations that are known so far, 3 with Ewoks and 2 with droids. A few different computer games were released in Spain, some on cartridges, other on cassettes, very similar to audio tapes. The cassette ones are the more common ones to find. Kids, you're going to have to ask your parents what a cassette is. A large selection of boxed and tray puzzles were released also by Didacta in Spain. A different company called Dalmu released different Ewoks and Droids cube puzzles as well. Yugoslavia saw the release of 4 different puzzles, and it's something interesting to note is many collectors consider 1989 the end of the vintage era, but in recent years we've actually seen quite a few different Ewoks and Droid items surface that came out of Yugoslavia with a 1990 date on them, which is kind of neat. Marvel Comics released Ewok comic books, which ran for 14 issues, and Droids, which ran for 8. They were made available in various countries around the world. Here you can see examples of the Ewoks from the US, Yugoslavia, Germany, and the UK, and some from Droids, United States, Yugoslavia, and Spain. Like the Ewok movies, a large selection of storybooks were released in various countries. This is just a small sample of them. Not only can you track them down in different languages, but some can be found in hardcover and softcover variants. So there's that for you who are completists and like to inflict self-torture, like me. And there's also a variety of books that were released around the world as well. So here you can see some of the ones from Spain. They're cut out and shaped like the Ewoks and the droid ships. And then there's some on the right as well. There's some pop-up books as well as some puzzle books from the UK, which are a little tough to find. And here's a variety of coloring books from around the world. The one on the top left is a pretty hard one to find from Kenner. And to the right of that is Ewoks and Droids coloring books released in the UK. And the bottom row shows an example from Germany, Yugoslavia, and Spain. And you can find examples from the different series with different covers as well. They can be quite difficult to track down. Here are some sticker albums. The stickers could be purchased randomly in separate packets and then matched up to the images on the pages. The French version had 240 stickers to collect. These surprisingly weren't released in the United States. Shown here, though, you can see the Spanish version on the top left, French on the right, and the bottom shows the Yugoslavia Ewoks and Droids. Unrelated to the albums, other sticker sets were available. In 1986, a Spanish company called Chicle released a set of foil stickers that came with gum. An example of a few of these are shown here on the left. And there's actually 42 different stickers that you can track down with various characters and vehicles from both of the cartoons. And on the right, the more square-shaped ones are from a sticker promotion from a Spanish company called Tudor. There were 16 stickers available, and they came in packages of batteries, of all things. And you could get, again, images from both of the cartoon series. You could collect points from them to redeem for an audio cassette, which is shown here on the right, which featured the Ewoks and Droids opening themes in Spanish. So when you buy your kids a tape deck to show them what a cassette is, you could break that bad boy out to listen to. Various stationery and paper items tied to the cartoons were released primarily overseas once again. Spanish company Paper Mundi released a wide variety of items shown in the top center image there. Folders, notepads, pencil tins, and banks. Shown in the corners, you can see some Droid memo pads released in Yugoslavia, and an Ewok pocket calendar in the bottom right, also from Yugoslavia. The bottom middle shows some scribble pads that were available in the UK, and you can find various images of those, also which match the Kenner action figure card backs. On the left here, you can see some message boards from Spain made by Medina, and the right will show some of the US items from a little bit later in line, actually, 1987. It's just quite late for the United States for new product. And basically, these were just T-shirts and blank white cards that you could color in with markers. There were even food-related premiums, including a promotion in the UK in 1988, packages of Dairy Lee cheese. You could collect little paper wedges with different Ewok characters, as well as R2 and 3PO. There's also a mail-away promotion from Dairy Lee for Ewoks and Droids video cassette. And shown on the bottom left is every kid's favorite dessert, flan. Boxes feature various image punch-outs that you could collect as well. Another food premium from Spain, released by Penrico, were sets of small plastic figures. They range from about 1 to 2 inches tall. There are 20 different figures to track down from droids and Ewoks, and they can be found also in 4 different colors as well. In Spain, saw orange, yellow, blue, and green. In Portugal, saw them in pink, dark blue, green, and yellow. So trying to track down even one set is difficult, let alone 8. Here's some lunch boxes. Top 2 were released in the United States by Thermos Company. And the ones below that are school bags, released in Germany, quite difficult to find. Show Wicket, Nisa, and Latara. Shown here is a variety of some of the rarest items from foreign releases. The balloons on the top left are actually from old marketing material, and I'm not even sure if an example of one of these is actually surfaced as being released, but if anybody has one or has seen one, we'd definitely like to see those. Other items shown here are Droid's belt buckle, rain boots, also very tough to find, a wallet, alarm clock, Ewok belt is on the bottom, and a wristwatch, which was only available in a VHS set from France. And the center shows 2 children's tents featuring images from the cartoons, which are also extremely rare. But a Droids one actually surfaced within the past year, so they're out there. Masks. The masks shown here were released in France by César Company. They were made of cheap plastic, kind of like the Ben Cooper Halloween masks that a lot of you guys grew up with, so they're very easily damaged. Shown in the center is a costume released by Jossman Company in Spain. They released one for Wicket and 3PO. The masks themselves are already a little disturbing, but the costumes really help crank that up a couple of notches. Yeah. I'm not sure why they're barefoot either, but it's okay. It's okay. And speaking of costumes, after being stars on the big screen and the small screen, the Ewoks hit the road as part of the Ice-Capades. The show was called Ewoks and the Magic Sunberries and was advertised as a tale for kids from 3 to 93. The show ran from late 1985, and we've seen documentation that it ran up through 1988, which is kind of surprising. An interesting fact also to mention is that the costume designer for the Ice-Capades show, Joseph Porro, actually returned to the Star Wars universe because he is now a costume designer on the Mandalorian show. So that's kind of a cool connection. Here you can see a variety of pennants and pins that were available to purchase as souvenirs at the show. There's also a program and a light wand too that you can track down. Various albums were released in Europe that featured themes from the cartoons in various languages, and the cassettes, there's cassettes again, on the bottom are audio stories from Germany. Various VHS releases available around the world, top showing US and Germany, Spain, and Mexico. Those are all from the 80s. And then in 96, a compilation video was released, heavily edited down under the Animated Classics banner. And then 2004 saw the release of it for the first time on DVD, again, heavily edited, incomplete. But the good news is you can now view the entire series of both Droids and Ewoks on Disney Plus, unedited with the original soundtrack. So you can check those out. So you've seen a few of the items now that were released in the vintage era, but there are some items that were made available in more recent years. Disney Parks had the plush sets, which had Princess Nisa and Wicket with the green cowl from the second series of the cartoon, and even Hasbro released some figures as well with Princess Nisa and Wicket also from the cartoon. Even more recently, Hasbro's released the retro-style Droids figures, so very similar to the old-style cartoon. And Gentle Giant, you can even track down some of their Jumbo Kenner-style figures as well. And just released this year, Loungefly has pins, wallets, backpacks. Some of them are actually available out on the show floor you can purchase, featuring images from the Marvel comics. And right after the show started streaming on Disney Plus, like the holiday special, we saw kind of a boom of shirts starting to show up, especially through online retailers, Hot Topic, Heroes and Villains, Loungefly, things like that. Here's just some of them. So, it's starting to gain popularity again, and hopefully maybe now that fans are starting to be more interested in it, we'll start to see more merchandise become available, and maybe we'll see some of the cartoon characters cross over into live action, who knows? Mando fighting Vlix, that'd be pretty cool. I'm sure somebody in the building can make that happen, right? All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Clone Wars. The first thing you're going to take away from my section of this panel is the correct pronunciation of its creator's name, which is Genndy Tartakovsky. Helmed by Genndy Tartakovsky, this series aired on Cartoon Network for 3 seasons between 2003 and 2005. It was the first Star Wars television series to air since Ewoks. Last year, this Emmy Award-winning series finally joined the lineup of programming on Disney Plus, and if you've not seen it yet, I highly recommend that you watch it. With about 12 minutes to present, I won't be able to cover every Tartakovsky Clone Wars series collectible out there, but I will, however, be able to provide you my overview of some of the essential pieces you should consider, from the inexpensive to the not-so-inexpensive. So here we go. The ARC Trooper Captain, Snow Bunny Padme, a StarWarsShop.com exclusive, Obi-Wan in clone armor, Asajj Ventress, Anakin Skywalker, Yoda, General Grievous, Luminara Unduli, and Barriss Offee. Maquettes were available from Gentle Giant between 2004 and 2005, back when $80 seemed like a lot to pay for a statue. Many of them, with the possible exception of Luminara and Barriss, sold out pretty quickly. Oddly, there was no Dirge maquette. The Yoda and the Anakin are the least expensive of these statues to track down and will run you around $65 for either. The snowsuit Padme will still cost you at least $650. Surprisingly, the Obi-Wan has come down a bit and will run you around $180. It's a gorgeous piece, one of the nicest ones in the collection.
I suspect that will change when the Obi-Wan series hits.
That's very true.
So get it now.
That's right. An important thing to know about these statues is they are a bit fragile, especially the lightsabers. I've been hunting for the Asajj Ventress statue for years, and I can tell you there are a lot of examples out there with broken sabers. 2007 saw the release of the Roran Korab maquette, along with the Yoda on Kaibuck. That same year, Mace Windu was released, which was a StarWarsShop.com exclusive, like the Snowsuit Padme. Both the Mace Windu and the Snowsuit Padme were limited to 1,000 pieces each, which contributes to their rarity and their higher price tag on the secondary market. These Clone Wars stylized maquettes were so successful that they inspired the series of other animated-style Gentle Giant statues that followed. A realistic-style Ilum Padme mini-bust was released in 2010 as Gentle Giant's annual holiday mini-bust offering to Premier Guild members, and a separate Ilum Padme and a companion Ilum Yoda statue were released just 3 years later. Additionally, a Hawk Bat Battalion statue for Premier Guild members was released in 2019. Today, it will cost you around $270. There are at least 4 promotional posters from the Tartakovsky series, the first one released measuring 18 by 24 inches. It was available at the 2003 San Diego Comic-Con to Hyperspace members, Hyperspace being the name of the official Star Wars fan club at the time. This is an image of an autographed version of that poster. The other 3 promo posters that are most commonly found are movie poster size, and they're stunning. They don't come up that often these days on eBay, but a saved search will do the trick if you want to play the long game. I can personally tell you that they're worth the hunt. There were other fan club exclusives available at this time, including this pin set from 2004. As this Clone Wars series was basically created to help sell more toys, as Tartakovsky himself told the live audience in 2008 at the Rhode Island School of Design, Hasbro were all in. Here are some of the highlights of that line. The Space Whale Republic gunship was released in 2006, which is a repaint of the previous Republic gunship vehicle. It retailed for $45, and these days you can expect to pay anywhere between $350 and $400 for a boxed one, less if you can find it loose. Of course, you can't have the gunship without the Hunt for Grievous ARC Troopers Battle Pack, which will cost you around $125. Another of the related vehicles is Anakin's Jedi Starfighter, released in 2003. This same ship was released by LEGO as Anakin's custom Jedi Starfighter in 2015. I mention that release because the LEGO version of this ship is, to date, the only LEGO set directly inspired by the Tartakovsky series. The animated-style action figures from the show included Mace Windu, Count Dooku, Asajj Ventress, Yoda, 3 different versions of Anakin, 2 different versions of Obi-Wan, Dirge, an ARC Trooper, Saesee Tiin, 5 different colored clone troopers, 2 slightly different versions of General Grievous, and Commander Cody. On the right is an image of an auction for 14 action figures autographed by Genndy Tartakovsky and Paul Rudish, who was an art director and writer on the series. I don't know how much it sold for, but it was probably enough to buy a boxed Clone Wars Republic gunship. A set of the primary 8 characters will run you around $115 right now. Several of the figures from this line were available exclusively at Walmart in 4 separate 3-pack exclusives in 2005, curiously titled the Commemorative DVD Collection, in which no DVDs were included. To this day, my wife at the time still swears that I almost knocked her over trying to get to the display of these at Walmart. There was a companion realistic-style wave of Clone Wars figures in 2004, in which we got the shirtless Kit Fisto action figure. In 2008, the Legacy Collection finally saw the release of the Scuba Trooper action figure, one of my favorites, as well as the Mon Calamari Warrior, the IG Lancer Droid, a Quarren Soldier, Ilum Padme, Saesee Tiin, Clone Trooper with quad cannon, and an Obi-Wan in clone armor. That carded Scuba Trooper you see on the right is a Legacy Collection variant that, until last year, I didn't know existed. While not from the Clone Wars line proper, the 2006 Ambush on Ilum Battle Pack includes Snowsuit Padme, 3PO, R2, and 2 chameleon droids. If you collect these loose, you should know that the chameleon droid's legs are brittle and they have not aged well, but it's a great set, especially boxed. Here's a Walgreens exclusive Obi-Wan Black Series figure from 2019, in which Ben sports his clone armor with Jedi robes look. Most recently, much to the surprise of many longtime collectors, Hasbro released a series of 6 Clone Wars figures, a few of them repacks, on Tartakovsky series vintage collection cardbacks. These are Walmart exclusives and easily obtainable right now on the convention floor. These included 3 3/4-inch Aayla Secura, Luminara Unduli, Barriss Offee, red and blue ARC Troopers, and a battle droid. That same 50th anniversary line saw the release of 3 Black Series Tartakovsky series themed figures, Grievous, an ARC Captain, and Mace Windu. The prices of these figures are starting to stabilize slightly as they become more widely available. The ARC is currently still the most expensive of the 3. One of the rarest items connected to this series is this Cartoon Network Clone Wars sketchbook. It measures 6.5 by 10 inches and was available only at the 2003 San Diego Comic-Con. This item will cost you at least $800. Dark Horse Comics published a digest-size series of Clone Wars Adventures comics, 10 volumes, which featured the same art style as the Tartakovsky series. In 2008, Dark Horse published a photocomic adaptation of the show. Neither will cost you $800. Acme released a series of lithographs, including this one, titled Heroes and Villains, a limited edition of 500. Animation cells from this series can still be found online. This one, a Yoda from a site called Comic Mint, will run you about $1,200. In 2006, Hallmark released a 3-pack of mini ornaments of Ventress, Anakin, and Yoda. The sculpts are terrific, but they are tiny and easily lost in your Christmas tree if you're not careful. Topps released a trading card series with a base set of 90 cards, 10 stickers, and a 10-card subset of Battle Motion lenticular cards. This card series is notable for being the very first Star Wars trading card series to offer sketch cards. So if you collect original art and you like this series, you might add Clone Wars Sketch Card 2004 to your eBay saved searches. In 2003, Chef Boyardee featured various Clone Wars characters on its beefaroni, mini ravioli, spaghetti and meatballs, and other products. Conagra Foods ran a tie-in contest in which one lucky winner could snag prizes including $1,000 worth of Clone Wars toys from Hasbro. Those who purchased these food tie-ins and peeled off the label were treated to a character code that you could redeem at CartoonNetwork.com for one of 7 digital trading cards featuring Asajj Ventress, Yoda, Mace Windu, Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Count Dooku. The password for the 7th card could only be found on ChefBoyardee.com. Again, no dirge. However, there was a painted dirge in the Wizards of the Coast 2004 miniatures series, and dirge recently debuted in canon in issue 11 of the Dr. Aphra comic book series from Marvel. Here we have a set of convention badges from the Star Wars Conference Sitges 2004 convention in Spain. There are 9 in the set, and they are very cool, despite the fact that there's no dirge badge, but you can't have everything. I bought these at Celebration at the Collector's Swap Meet, which you should always make a point of attending. I scored this very set for $10 from Brad Portnoy, so Brad, thank you for that, because like many non-English convention badges, they are neither cheap nor easy to track down, but not impossible and well worth the effort. This year's Collector's Swap Meet will take place on Saturday starting at 7 o'clock in the Collector's Lounge, and you will not want to miss that. Sideshow released a Naboo Senator Ilum Padme figure in 2007, which is currently surprisingly cheap at $80 or less. It may have something to do with her facial expression. That same year, Sideshow released an Asajj Ventress that came with an alternate head that featured no pupils, as she appeared in the Tartakovsky series. Obi-Wan and clone armor followed in 2008. Finally, 2 inexpensive Tartakovsky Clone Wars related things that you should track down. Number 1, any of the back issues of Star Wars Insider around this time period, especially issue 69 from August 2003, which has a great interview with Paul director Art Rudish, and issue 80 from March 2005. Back issues of the Insider are such a wonderful time capsule of what was going on in Star Wars at the time and can be found very cheaply on eBay. Number 2, if you've ever used the Wayback Machine website, and if you don't, you should try it, search for the Expanded Universe databank entries that were featured on StarWars.com at the time. You can find many entries for many of the characters and worlds that were featured in the Tartakovsky series, with some really interesting little-known facts and background details. That's it for me.
Well, thank you for attending. We are planning to be over in the collecting lounge for some Q&A and then some meetup afterwards if you wanted to swap some related themed legend collectibles. We're running a little short on time, so I didn't want to drag us on too much further, but I do have some buttons for this specific panel, so see us later, I guess.
Thank you.
Thank you.